Okay, I have no idea how many fucking times I've been trying to record this, but hopefully this is the last time I need to do it. So I just saw The Crow last night. Um, got it on Blu-ray, Amazon, fix your shit. But after seeing it, the 1994 version, of course, I think it's a fine film. It's not a masterpiece, it's not a terrible film at all. I just think it's a fun ride. So let's go over it real quick. Positive. The style of this movie is pretty good. Given that it's an adaptation of a graphic novel, it would kind of have to be, you know? There would have to be some pretty iconic shots and some pretty vivid cinematography, and I think that this film did that pretty well. Tonally, it's very good. I think that the crow's design is fantastic, and I think that there's a genuine embrace for the R rating, which, being a vengeance story, makes a lot of sense, and it makes me pretty happy that there's some pretty brutal moments in this film. On paper, or at least conceptually in my mind, it was a little weird because I imagined he would act more like the Joker, but like Heath Ledger's Joker. But I'm glad he isn't because he is very much focused on getting vengeance, and he's not letting everything drive him down to psychopathy, or at least not obviously. It might be more subtle. Another thing are the body effects. Given the brutality of this film, he is going to sustain a lot of shots, and his partial immortality, I should say, and they're pretty good. You know, like the effects on his hand, whenever like he could see through it, that was impressive, and also his regeneration as well, and leads to his his clothes getting damaged. So you start seeing visible wounds, you see scars that immediately just fade out, and just seeing the damage on his clothes goes to add more character to him, and it just goes to show you how far he was willing to go over the course of this film. Some neutrals I have. The beginning, the effects weren't that great. You know, seeing the crow fly around, they did their best. Of course, it's 1994. Um, if you wanted a realistic bird, you would have a realistic bird, preferably in front of a blue screen or a green screen or whatever. Uh, but the 2D fire at the opening shot, that stood out like a sore thumb. That and the plot is pretty simple. I'd say it's a video game-esque, even, but given that this film is 102 minutes and the film is going at a pretty fast pace, I think the plot didn't have to be that overly complicated, but that leads to the negatives. Some characters are just flat, or 2D, I should say, and it kind of sucks. Like, there could be something bigger that's going on with the big bad of the film. I already forgot his name, but there isn't that much. It's just he likes to commit arson and incest. That's what I got out of him. That, and I don't think the sergeant was that useful in the film, or at least useful to the film, I should say. In the world, maybe, even though, you know, he gets suspended. But the thing that I'm getting at is that he's a detective. He's working like a detective throughout the film. But the problem is that things that he's solving, we already know. We are not in his shoes. We don't have to be in his shoes, but the fact that we don't have to be just doesn't make his character as strong. You know, what's the point of trying to figure out who's the guy that has been, I don't know, blowing up a pawn shop and killing these fucking vagrants? What's the point of finding out who that is through his eyes when we already know who it is? You know, it's the man that was thought to be dead and was, but gets resurrected. And one other thing that kind of stuck out is that the plot with Sarah's mom, it didn't resonate as much in the film, or it didn't resonate to Sarah, which kind of sucks because this would have been a pretty good thing to tackle, you know? Uh, the sense of child abandonment, even though your parent is still alive and present in a technical sense. And the scene with Sarah's mom and the crow is great because, you know, you see how much it affected her life, you know? Like even early on in the scene, just seeing the boys at a bar, it just shows that there might have been a bit of a fall there. And to see that she's opening her eyes and embracing the fact that she has a kid, or at least is trying to embrace that fact, it was nice. And I think the scene with the eggs was a nice cherry on top, but that's where that ends. There's no lasting impression on Sarah throughout the rest of the film, or anything like that, which kind of sucks. But still, I think the film was fine. It's not a masterpiece, it's just a good movie. But that leads me to the remake, which is the reason that I got rekindled interest into this film. It's the reason that I picked this up in the first place. And it's one of the main reasons that I wanted to discuss this. The remake has been pandered pretty bad, and it hasn't even come out yet. That is kind of disheartening in this day and age, because this isn't really a remake as much as people think. I know I label it as such, but it's more of an interpretation of the source material, because this is not a remake of a film. This is a reinterpretation of a comic book. That's how people need to see it. And the fact that the director of the original is standing against this reinterpretation is a pretty big disservice to the work that is being done here. Brandon Lee was killed in your set. Why? I'll tell you why. Because a firearms specialist, which was present to make sure the guns were safe to use in filming, was sent early. So a prop assistant had to be there as a stand-in. He failed to check the guns that were present to ensure that they were safe to fire with blank or primers, but no projectiles. That was neglected, and that's what got Brandon Lee killed. He died because of a lack of safety in your set, and you should be ashamed for that. I imagine you would be, or at least I would hope, but you didn't acknowledge that whenever that article came out, and it's just kind of disgusting in my eyes. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I'm a moral police or anything, but just give them one chance. At least one. Because I imagine Brandon Lee would have been excited to make more films. And if they want to try to make more things, then that's fine. That, and also, coincidentally, another actor, not coincidentally, there was another actor that is kind of going against this film, who, by coincidence, is the cop that I was discussing earlier. I mean, I need to say this. In terms of the film, like putting it into this perspective of the audience, he didn't serve that much of a purpose. As a character himself, I think he was fine. Alright? That's kind of what I wanted to say. But again, why boycott this film? It's just an attempt. And from what I've seen in the trailers, it's decent. I think the music choice for the trailer was eh. I don't think it was that good. In the start it was, but towards the end it wasn't. I think that the cinematography is going to be a bit on par with everything else that's come out. You know, a decent amount of wide shots, a good amount of medium shots. I think that'd be fine. I also think that this film will embrace the R rating. You know, we saw a dude get his head blown up with a shotgun in the trailer. And if that sets up the tone pretty decently, especially towards the end, because you just see him getting riddled with bullets and he's trying to shrug it all off. That embraces the theme that was going on with this film about embrace and trying to, and the fear of atonement, or at least the fear of atonement for anyone that has done any wrong. Do I think this film should be boycotted? No. Just wait till the reviews come out. And that's it. I will probably do something like this again. Maybe. I'm watching the Lucifer series again, so that's nice. Fair enough. I just wanted to give my 2 cents on this, so now I have. Y'all take care of yourselves.